Sam was an ordinary man, or at least, that's what he used to think. At 35 years old, he had become so entrenched in the demands of his fast-paced career that life outside the office seemed like a distant memory. With a slender frame and light skin, Sam often wore his work uniform, a dark blue button-down shirt, the sleeves rolled up slightly as if to show he was always ready for action. His black dress pants were impeccably pressed, and his polished shoes clicked softly on the office floor as he darted from one meeting to the next. His dark brown eyes rarely left the screen in front of him. He was constantly checking emails, responding to urgent requests, and preparing reports for his next meeting. His thin lips were often pressed together in concentration, and his jaw, tight with the weight of stress, never seemed to relax. The office was a constant hum of activity, a cacophony of ringing phones, clattering keyboards, and the occasional murmur of colleagues discussing projects or deadlines. Sam felt as if he were caught in a loop, racing against time with no clear finish line in sight. He glanced at the clock on the wall, 3:47 p.m. Another hour, another deadline, and yet, no matter how fast he worked, the clock never slowed down. "There's just never enough time," Sam muttered to himself, his frustration rising. Time always felt like an enemy, always running ahead of him, no matter how fast he tried to catch up. But then, something strange happened. The ticking of the clock grew louder, almost as if it were calling to him. Sam looked up, blinking in disbelief. The sound seemed to echo in the room, growing in volume until it drowned out everything else. And then, before his eyes, a man appeared. He was dressed in a sharp, charcoal gray suit that seemed to shimmer in the dim office light, with a silver watch gleaming on his wrist. His tie, black with subtle clock patterns, seemed to blend seamlessly into his surroundings. There was something otherworldly about him. His skin had a soft, almost translucent glow, as though he weren't quite part of the world around him. His tall, lean frame gave him an ethereal presence, as if he were standing just outside the boundaries of time itself. Sam stared at him, stunned, wondering if he was seeing things. "Who?" Sam began, his voice shaky with disbelief. "Who are you?" The man smiled, a calm and knowing smile that seemed to contain a universe of understanding. "I'm Mr. Time," he said, his voice smooth and soothing, yet carrying a sense of power. "And it looks like you've been chasing me for quite a while." Sam blinked, still trying to process what was happening. "What do you mean? What's going on, Mr.?" Time's smile deepened, and with a wave of his hand, everything around them began to blur. The office, the bustling noise, the pressure, it all faded into a whirlwind of motion, and Sam felt himself being swept away. When the rush of time finally settled, Sam found himself standing in the middle of a calm park. The world around him had completely changed. The loud, oppressive hum of the office was replaced by the peaceful rustling of leaves in the wind, and the soft chirping of birds in the trees. People were scattered around the park. Some were reading books, others were walking their dogs, and a group of children were playing soccer. It was the kind of place where time seemed to slow down, allowing people to fully experience each moment. The world was vibrant and alive, yet at the same time still. Sam looked around in awe. "Where are we?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "This," Mr. Time replied, "is the present moment. Look closely, Sam. People here aren't rushing. They aren't obsessed with what's next or what's gone. They're living right now." Sam watched as a couple sat on a bench, engrossed in conversation, their laughter light and carefree. Nearby, a man walked his dog at a slow pace, enjoying the simple pleasure of the walk. Children kicked a soccer ball back and forth, their faces bright with the joy of the game. Sam couldn't remember the last time he had experienced something as simple, as peaceful, as these moments. "I don't know if I have time for that," Sam said, shaking his head. "I have work to do, deadlines to meet, responsibilities." Mr. Time's eyes softened. "And that's exactly why I'm here. You spend so much of your time chasing me, but you don't realize that you're missing out on life itself. Time doesn't wait for anyone, Sam. It moves forward whether we're ready or not. But you can choose how you spend it. You control it, rather than letting it control you. Before Sam could respond, the world shifted again, and this time, they found themselves in a future version of the office. The once vibrant space was now dim and empty, the air thick with silence. Sam looked over at a familiar sight. A much older version of himself, sitting at his desk, alone. His once vibrant face was now tired and worn, his eyes sunken, staring blankly at the clock on the wall. His fingers hovered over the keyboard, but there was no energy, no life in his movements. The world around him seemed to have passed him by, leaving him trapped in the same cycle, unable to escape. "What happened to me?" Sam whispered, his voice barely audible. Mr. Time placed a hand on his shoulder. "This is what happens when you spend your life chasing time. You focus so much on what's coming next that you forget to live in the moment. You miss the moments with your family, with your friends, the moments that truly make life worth living. And before you know it, time has passed you by." Sam felt his chest tighten as the realization hit him like a ton of bricks. He had spent so many years working, striving for success, pushing himself to the limit, all the while ignoring the things that truly mattered. The years had slipped away, and he hadn't even noticed. Now, in this future version of himself, he saw the emptiness of a life lived without balance. With a snap of his fingers, Mr. Time brought them back to the present. The office was as it had been before, filled with the usual noise and energy, but something was different now. Sam looked around, no longer feeling the pressure of the deadlines or the rush of the clock. He looked at the ticking clock on the wall, but this time, it didn't feel like an enemy. It felt like a reminder. "You can't stop time, Sam," Mr. Time said softly. "But you can decide how to spend it. You have that power. Time may be fleeting, but you have the ability to choose what matters most." Sam took a deep breath, looking at his desk, his emails, his meeting schedule. But this time, the urgency that usually weighed him down had lifted. He didn't need to rush. He didn't need to constantly chase time. There were moments worth more than all the deadlines in the world, moments with loved ones, moments of joy, moments of peace. And he was ready to embrace them. Without another word, Sam picked up his phone and called his family. He smiled as he heard their voices on the other end of the line. As he stepped out of the office into the sunlight, he felt the world slow down. He took a deep breath of fresh air and realized that time wasn't something to chase anymore. It was something to live in. And from that moment on, Sam chose to spend his time more wisely, no longer running after it, but living with it. Time was his to cherish, not fear.